Welcome to Modern Management of the Older Adult, brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. All right, crew, we are live. My name is Dustin Jones. This is the MMOA podcast. Thank you for listening, watching, however you're consuming this. We are continuing on and actually wrapping up our MMOA DNA series. This has been a series on the MMOA podcast where we have been talking about what is MMOA, or Modern Management of the Older Adult. What does it take to become a part of this team, and what does that look like? And what are these key characteristic traits that we look for on our team? There are three main ones. One is leader, one is a teacher, and then third, and what we're going to speak on today, is performer. If you haven't watched the other videos, I encourage you to do so. And we're going to be wrapping it up by talking about being a performer. Now, this is a very, very important trait for someone that is in the business of teaching individuals, right? Especially in the context of whether it's an 8-week online course, whether it's a 15-minute podcast, whether it is 2 days of spending time with individuals. You can be very, very intelligent and smart and be able to relay information. But if you can't do that in an entertaining manner to be able to maintain attention, then you will not be a very effective educator. And so the concept of being a performer is a very, very important one. So there are three main things that we think about as a performer. One is that we master our voice, that we are engaging, and that we understand the concept of the vibe of the weekend. So first one about voice, something that is very, very important. And I think some clinicians will do an okay job, but where we really look to for a lot of inspiration is in the realm of fitness with coaches. Coaches that lead group classes are really, really good at managing their voice to get a point across and performing and entertaining a group of people. There's three things that we think about. One is voice projection. Voice projection. We'll find ourselves in all kinds of different spaces. Some have great acoustics. A lot of them do not. Big open spaces where your voice can easily get lost. And so we like to think about being able to project our voice so it travels further. This is not about screaming louder. It's about being able to project our voice, our coach's voice, if you will, so it is able to travel in a bigger area so people can hear. So we think about voice projection. The next thing is we think about inflection, the change of kind of the tone or the volume of our voice, and we time that with emphasizing key points. And so what you'll see, especially in something like a lecture, we may be discussing in a very casual manner about a particular research study, for example, and then we get to a really key point that we don't want you to forget. This is something like 1 rep max living in the context of modern management of the older adult, that you're going to start to see that faculty member get fired up to where they start to really ramp things up, and they match the importance of this point with the inflection of their voice, that you see a noticeable change in how they're speaking about this particular point. That is inflection. That is something that can help drive home learning. And then third, what we like to think about is the cadence of the words that we use, that oftentimes we can slow down our cadence and allow space in between our words to really drive home a key point. This is really important because when we get to, let's say, a concept like 1RM living, for example, we'll ramp up inflection, and then we'll kind of notice that cadence will slow down, and that we're bringing home some really key points, but we allow space around those words for you to think, to comprehend, and to really absorb that material. So projection, inflection, and cadence is what we think about with voice. Now, in terms of the second piece, we talk about engagement, right? So this is where you want to think about engaging people. And there's three main things that we think about here. One is that you are a dynamic speaker, that you move to maintain attention. This is important right here on this channel of a video or on the podcast, but then also when we are in person. You will never see an MMOA faculty member speak for 50 straight minutes standing in the same spot. We're going to move across the screen, on other sides of the screen, throughout the space to maintain your attention, but we also use that intentionally to move and shift when we're transitioning to other points. So I may just come off a high of really hammering home 1 rep max living, for example. As soon as I hammer that home, I'm probably going to shift my space where I'm standing to another part of kind of the stage, if you will, to it kind of initiate the transition to the next key point in that particular material. That keeps people engaged because you're not just one target, you're a moving target, and their eyes will typically follow and they'll typically pay a little bit more attention. So movement is really important. Next is going to be your excitement, right? This is where your excitement is infectious. You should be the most excited person in the room. And if you're the most excited person in the room to talk about your material, that is going to be infectious and influence the learning of everybody else. So if I'm just up there, not managing my voice, general affect, clearly I could care less about being here. I'd much rather be, at home with my kids or out riding a bike, whatever. That is going to come across, right? It's boring. I'm not excited, and you're not going to be excited to learn. So I should be super excited about this stuff, and that is going to infect you and your learning capacity. All right. So we move to maintain attention. We have noticeable excitement, and then we have limited use of filler words, the ums, the likes. We all have our ticks. I've got several. I've had to work on a lot of them to really drive them down, but those filler words do not provide a lot of value. So we want to be very, very thoughtful of our use of those and have minimal use of those filler words. The best way to identify your filler word is to watch your recordings, watch the game footage, because you're going to hear the ums, the likes, the becauses, whatever it may be. And I challenge you, count them, tally them up, and it will be so painful to watch, but you will never use those again. Watch your game footage, notice your filler words, and then go ahead and knock those out. All right, so we've talked about voice, we talked about engagement, and last but not least, the vibe, right? This is really important. Harder to do in the online space, but it can still be done, but definitely in the live person-to-person interaction. The first thing that we want to make sure of is that people are laughing, that they're feeling good, that they're having a good time, right? Using our jokes is always helpful. Making sure the music is on point to just have a positive, encouraging environment, right? Versus just empty, dead space, or having music that doesn't necessarily match the mood, right? It makes me think about, let's say, Sunday morning at a continuing education course. Do you want to rock out to some 9 Inch Nails or set the mood with some Creedence Clearwater, right? Or some Red Hot Chili Peppers radio, something kind of chill and smooth versus, freaking headbangers right out the gate at 7:55 on a Sunday morning. We want to make people feel good. We want to make them laugh. Music is a huge way we can do that, and jokes are as well. Now, with music, we want to make sure that we're leveraging music to match the energy that we're going for, right? What you'll see at MMOA courses is that particularly in the mornings, we'll have kind of that Creedence Clearwater vibe, just kind of chiller music. And as the day progresses, especially as we get in the labs and we're starting to lift heavier stuff, we'll throw on the bangers, right? We'll throw on some rap music. We'll throw on some high energy music to kind of match the vibe that we're going for. We also use that music and the volume of that music in particular parts. Like if we are doing a lot of back and forth where I may be giving instruction and then you practice, well, I'll turn that music down as I'm giving instruction so you can hear me. And as soon as I want you to start practicing, I'm going to ramp that music up to really create that positive environment, right? This is what we think about. Also during breaks as well, that we make sure that we have some of that music going, because that's a huge asset to managing the vibe. So engage your folks, make them laugh, make them feel good, tell them stories, talk to them, and then use your music as a tool. And if you're able to do that, you will master a beautiful vibe where folks are just having a good time at this Con Ed course. And it'll be like nothing else they've ever experienced, because they're used to watching slides, people talk from slides for 8 hours a day for 2 days, and then nobody engaging during breaks or during labs. It's just kind of dead space and super boring, right? We will do the exact opposite. So performer, what does that mean within MMOA? You know how to use your voice. Projection, inflection, and cadence is what we think about. We know how to engage. We know how to move. We know how to show our excitement, and we have limited use of those useless filler words. And then we master the vibe through are engaging with other people, telling jokes, making them laugh, making them feel good, and then using the music to master the vibe. That is what you will see from an MMOA faculty member. I appreciate you all coming along through this series. This is something that we're really passionate about, that we are working harder and harder and harder to make sure that we are consistently portraying these characteristics at every single time that you come across an MMOA faculty, whether it's in a live weekend or whether it's an online course. If you haven't taken any of these courses, I encourage you to do so. We freaking love doing them, and our students love taking them as well. And so I know we can create an amazing experience for you and really level up your game in serving older adults. All right, appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to the MMOA podcast. If you found this helpful, please share with someone that could benefit. And if you're looking for more practical content to help you better serve older adults, head over to www.mmoa.online, where you can learn more about our free resources, our community, continuing education courses, and our certification. Once again, that's www.mmoa.online. Thanks for listening.